Hey everyone, this amazing ESO Network show is brought to you by our fine sponsor, Amazon.com. Please remember to shop Amazon for all your geeky needs, no matter what time of the year it is. All you need to do is go to esopodcast.com/ESO Amazon, or click on the Amazon banner on the ESO Network webpage to go to our e-store. It's the best way to shop and the best way to support this program, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Okay, that's enough of me babbling for now. Now on with your regular scheduled show.
Exploring the multiverse of pop culture.
This is Podcasserole.
An Adam and JP show.
Hey, I'm Jay Patrick. That's Adam. We have Akeem the African Dream in the corner.
Yeah, third mic.
And it's about 112 in the garage. So
really
this
is.
must be Podcasserole.
Yeah, it really is pretty hot in here.
It's pretty warm.
A little toasty. Got the shine.
It's a little warm.
You know, recently I've been a little more active doing outdoor activities, and because of that, I've been wearing my my baseball caps a lot more recently.
Uh-huh.
I have the Brewers cap I got when I went to the game a few weeks ago, and just today, before I came here, I had a little quick Target run, getting some electronics, and I've noticed it's a social experiment. It could be my stature, my build, could be my beard, but whenever I wear a baseball cap, parents are afraid of me for their children.
Really?
They bring them closer, like, hey, come here, huh? And it's only when I wear the baseball cap.
Yeah.
Is that like a symbol of creepiness, a baseball cap?
Yeah. It looks like you grab a 15-year-old and head across the country.
But twice today at Target, there was a mom, hanging out, doing her own thing, her small child maybe 15, 20 feet behind her. I approached them. She's like, Timmy, come here. I'm like, what? I'm looking at the Mad Balls lady. I can't look at the Mad Balls?
Please, you should wear sunglasses, too. Wear sunglasses and a hoodie and see what happens.
But it happened twice.
Yeah.
Each time, like, oh, they're fine. Other people pass them. No big deal. But I come up with a baseball cap, and they got to bring their kid close.
I wouldn't let you around my kids.
It could be because I am looking at the Mad Balls in the toy aisle.
Yeah.
But I could have a kid looking, it could be my niece, nephew's birthday party, my kid. That's kind of something-ist. I don't know what the word's going to be there, but something-ist.
What's worse, that or being someone like me that never gets noticed? Like, I just fade into the background.
That's
of everything.
good. That's good.
Like, no matter where I am, I can just blend into the background.
I thought that's what a baseball cap did, but apparently it makes you stand out.
Yeah. Well, it's the Brewers cap.
Yeah, you think so?
If it was an Alabama cap, nobody would think,
yeah.
oh, see? If it was a Roll Tide.
That's true, a houndstooth roll tide.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to try.
A houndstooth Roll Tide. Exactly.
That's a good experiment.
Yeah. Like Bear Bryant.
Yeah, that's a good experiment.
What if you wore, like, a houndstooth fedora?
Oh, yeah.
What would happen there?
To me, that's even creepier than a baseball cap.
Yeah, it is, but
I just noticed that today. I've never had that uncomfortableness. It happened twice within like 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Come here. What? I'm just fuck. Sorry, had to slip there.
Wow, you took it real personal. Why do you hate me so much?
There's our first bleep of the day.
We don't bleep things anymore. So go to patreon.com.
Yeah.
/podcasserole.
It's fun.
And we put up a whole bunch of archives this week. It is so warm in here.
It's good.
Like,
I have the drip going on.
I don't know if we're going to make it through 2 episodes.
I have the drip. Because it just rained. A little behind the scenes.
Yeah,
It just rained. It was fantastic for 10 minutes. And that rain mug comes in.
It's starting to come in. And we got the door open because that makes it a little better, but not a lot.
And I have to go immediately after this and go meet with a potential bride client.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be good.
What time is that?
4.
Oh, so we got time.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you sit here for
Sweaty
4
and sticky.
hours.
So you want me to film you?
Yeah.
What do you think of my baseball cap?
Wear your baseball cap. No, thanks.
I'm good.
We decided to go with our friend who has a camcorder.
He has a fedora, houndstooth.
From the 90s.
Yes, patreon.com/podcasserole.
A whole bunch of archives went up this week, and we just recorded our Patreon exclusive, the spoiler review of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, totally spoiled it.
Which I think we both enjoyed.
Yeah, very much so. Mm-hmm. But you have to sadly pay to find out how much we enjoyed it.
There you go. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Welcome to Trump's America.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check it out. I think just briefly, I talked last week. I really enjoyed it, and I think there were some parts that.
I mean, that's if I give the disclaimer. If I had to have complaints,
yeah,
well, there are some. Which every movie, if you
it's
had
like
to,
with me in Guardians of the Galaxy. Too.
Yeah,
there were some things that just kind of, I don't know about.
Yeah.
That in Guardians.
But overall, I mean, I said it's in my top 3 MCU movies of all time. So there you go. Would that make your top 3
of MCU movies? Yeah. Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Because I think you will always and
It's going to
forever
be top
love
5,
Iron Man.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably top 5. But as we go along, which I think next week will be our next installment of revisiting the MCU movies.
Yeah. Are you laughing at the wiping of sweat?
No, I'm laughing at the fact that you're wiping sweat and I've got it underneath my eye right now. It's like getting in my eye, stinging. What we go through for you people.
Yeah.
So next week we'll do, what are we up to? Oh, Captain America, the First Avenger.
Right. Okay. That's fun.
We're almost to the Avengers movie.
We're almost to the good stuff.
We're almost to 2012.
Yay.
But yeah, as we go along, I don't know, and really trying to put an honest list together if Iron Man will remain number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So let's do that. Once it's all said, I mean...
What we're doing as we go along.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
So
it's in real time.
So the adjustments will be made in real time.
Right. Do you have the list written down still?
I do.
Okay, good.
Of where we are. Do you want to know?
Sure. Because I've forgotten. I mean, I guess I could do it again if I had to, but I don't think I would be right there.
Yeah. Where is it? I have it written down.
My notes.
But it's in... Oh, here we go. Right now, mine is... Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not right. Oh, okay. I have Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man 2.
Okay.
You have Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man 2.
That's pretty close.
So it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then the next one is Captain America, the First Avenger.
And this was where things might change up a little bit.
I can already tell you is going to go above Hulk and Iron Man 2.
Oh, really?
On my list.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Interesting. This is where our list separates.
Like, it's so hot, your can is sweating across the table.
And a few minutes ago, that was ice cold. I put it in the freezer to prep for the ride over here. It is like hot dishwater right now.
Lukewarm now?
Yeah.
Well, we only have 3 more months.
That's true. Hey, have you watched anything fun this week?
Have you?
Sadly, yes.
Okay, you tell me what you did because I really want to. I really want to pump up what I did.
Yeah. So and we'll talk about it in the next few weeks. I'll talk about it on the show. But as of right now, things are happening. Good things are happening at home. I promise. But so the wife is going through some good things. I promise. So she's not feeling so hot, and I decided to have a fun day. I made a cake this week.
You made a cake?
A box cake for the first time ever. It was fun.
You ate a cake or you made a cake?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I didn't eat the whole cake, but most of it.
Okay.
So I made a box cake for her. I decided to rent a movie she wanted to see. She never thought I'd get for her. So I rented 50 Shades Darker. That's what I rented when she came home. So she had a cake made there, had the movie going. Have you ever seen these at all? Because
no.
of course we know what it's about. We've seen the commercials. We've heard it.
Seen these?
I can't believe they show these in theaters, man.
No, I'm not gonna waste my money on that.
I've seen. Well, I've never watched it myself. I've had friends that have watched softcore porn that is milder than this.
Yeah.
Really, it's crazy.
I'll take your word for it.
It's nuts, man.
Why would you rent such a bad movie?
Well, she's down. She's all about that stuff.
Okay. She's down like a clown.
I think most ladies are right now. No. When she read the book, she was a fan of, all that stuff. That whole
so
deal.
50 Shades Darker.
Yeah, 50 Shades Darker.
Would you put that on your top 10 list of all time?
No. But it's rough. It was rough, man. It was bad stuff.
Congratulations.
I mean, it taught me
on your cake.
I was researching things. I don't know. I want to give you a little. I'm trying to keep this PG-13ish.
Okay.
Don't do this. But there's a thing they use in the movie, and it's funny because I thought of Chris Benoit, but it is Ben, as in someone's first name, last name Wa, W-A, and they're called Benoit balls, and so I thought it was funny, like Chris Benoit. But if you look it up, crazy tools, stuff I've never heard of.
Right.
There are things out there that my brain couldn't even fathom.
Right.
And the stuff they show, it's insane.
Like a dungeon.
Kind of. So this one, I guess I never saw or read the first book / movie. Apparently that one's a little more dungeony.
Yeah.
This one is a little more when Christian Grey transitions into an actual loving male.
Oh. Okay.
So it's a little more. It's a little combo there.
Yeah, I haven't.
They use the Benoit balls.
You said in the last 5 minutes.
They use the plank of wood with the cuffs on the legs. So you can't close your legs when you want to. But besides that, it's crazy. So we're watching this, and I proclaimed to the wife, like, if you like this, it's a fact. This is started off as fan fiction of the book Twilight. Mm-hmm. And so from there, we have to start watching the Twilight series.
Oh, wow, you just dug yourself into a terrible, terrible hole.
But I'll proclaim. I'm
You'll be worse than this. Twilight movies.
Anything worse. I'll proclaim the Twilight movies aren't terrible. The first one's not bad. We watched it last night, and I was not a hater. Don't love it, But it was on Netflix. Check it out.
Yeah, you've been a defender of the Twilight movies for as
yeah.
long as we've been doing this show.
And she watched it. She went in with, the frown on the face. This is for 12-year-olds. This is stupid. And left being just...
I wish I could meet a sexy vampire who glitters in the sunlight instead of faded, turns to ash.
She left with wanting to see the rest. So now I'm on the search for the Blu-ray Twilight Saga. Because they're like a drug dealer. Netflix gave me the first one for free. I have to buy the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Or find a video store.
Watch those two movies back to back.
Uh-huh.
And that's about what I've watched this week.
Okay. Congratulations. I finished Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Was it as good as 50 Shades Darker?
I've never seen it.
You should give
I have
it a
no
chance.
reference. Don't think so. If you watch, because Mystery Science Theater 3000 is not for everyone.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't know if my wife would be into watching this. I was like, did you ever watch that? And she's like, yeah, I remember seeing some. I'm like, okay, I want you to watch one from this current season. And it's called Carnival Magic. And Adam, I'm telling you, this is on the list of great Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes.
Really?
Like Minos, the Hands of Fate.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, through this current season, there are some better than others. The best is Carnival Magic. It's about a carnival in the 70s where there's a guy who's kind of a mystic that has a talking chimp.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. It is worth it for the scene. And I'm going to tell you just the dialogue is Dr. Mark Twain, Nurse Kesha, and it is two characters that look like Mark Twain and Kesha.
Really?
And it is fantastic. To the point, like, I've just been saying that all this week.
That's pretty awesome.
I call my dogs that. Dr. Mark Twain and Nurse Kesha. And, if you're kind of into mystery, because again, it's an hour and a half each episode.
Yeah.
You got to be dedicated and know that you're going to watch a terrible movie for an hour and a half with, witty dialogue from these characters. And you got to commit to the hour and a half. And it's definitely worth it for Carnival Magic.
I'll check it out.
From beginning to end, the best episode of the season. And it's towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of the last 3 episodes.
How many, is it 13 episodes? That's the Netflix standard, it seems.
13 or 14.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this one might be 15?
Really?
No. Yeah, it's like 13 or 14.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, it's very hot.
Is your back soaked?
Yeah, it
Mine
is.
is soppy right now.
Do I have spots under my arms?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
growing.
There's a picture of me on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride where we put our hands up at the end.
Are you soppy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just huge sweat stains.
Is it crazy hot there in California?
Well, it was cold that morning, so I put on a long sleeve shirt over my t-shirt. So by the middle of the day, it was pretty warm.
Really?
Warm enough to have sweat stains under my arms.
Ah.
Yeah.
The stain, the old stain, huh?
Also, watched some MTV Classic this week.
Oh, yeah. You swapped over from Batman Forever to MTV Classic.
I did.
Yeah.
And we sat and watched, 2 hours of videos from the 80s.
So it's MTV Classic is just that. MTV as it were back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, they do blocks. They do like 80s blocks, 90s blocks, new, like the early 2000s, the rock blocks, the hip-hop blocks.
Any VJs at all?
No VJs.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it does remind you of like, because when we were watching, my wife was like, I hope the next video is good. This is what it was like watching MTV back in the day.
Yeah.
You hope the next video is one you like.
Yeah.
And that was fun and
Yeah.
nostalgic. They even showed the old promos.
Oh, really?
Like they showed one of the Dennis Leary promos, and yeah.
Wow.
So I hadn't watched MTV Classic in years.
That's
I
its
guess.
own channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
MTV Classic is the name of it. And so we did that, and then I put some archive stuff up on the Patreon page. And in one of those shows, it's our 100th episode, is now available on patreon.com/podcastroll.
Oh, boy.
And we make reference.
Do you know the date on that? Like, how long ago was that, if you had to guess?
It was 2015.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the summer of 2015, like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And we reference some of the stuff that we've played on the show, and we talk about stuff like this.
This is my recital. I think it's
You remember
very
this?
Oh, yeah,
vital
yeah.
To rock around, that's right. On top, it's tricky. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around, that's right. On time, it's tricky.
The classic mashup of
Yeah.
Run DMC and Guns N' Roses. Also this one.
Right. It's classic.
See if I can speed this one up a little bit. Thunderbusters.
Some of the old school closers we used to have for the show.
I know.
Old closers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sent me down a YouTube rabbit hole
of
mashups. Are you a friend or fan of mashups?
So I think the only ones I've heard are the ones you show me.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've never gone and watched these videos? Which some of these is real talent, because not only do they mash up the songs, but then they mash up the videos for YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
So it's got to be hours and hours and hours of work for some of these mashups.
For nothing.
Now, some of them get lazy, and it's just like a picture of the artist the whole time.
Yeah.
But like the Thunderbusters is a mashup of the two videos.
Really? I didn't know that.
So I thought I would some of my favorite mashups that I found along the way down this rabbit hole.
I'm curious what you have.
All right, we'll start with this one.
Oh wow!
Pink Floyd versus the Bee Gees.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. We don't need no thought control. And then I found this one. Coldplay, obviously. Do you know what it is yet?
No, not the mix-up. Oh wow! Wow! Oh wow!
Coldplay versus Bon Jovi.
Cold Jovi.
Who would you bet on in that?
Wait, the bands or the lead singers? We're talking like
lead singers.
Chris Martin versus man, they're both
John Bon Jovi's from Jersey.
Yeah, he's also 55.
That's true. It's like Mayweather versus McGregor.
It's true.
All right, so there's Coldplay versus Bon Jovi. And then I found this one, which this was one of my favorites. For some reason, I really enjoyed this. It's Green Day.
Right. Oh, wow. Wow, it works.
Yeah.
It works. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
It's Green Day versus Oasis.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And then at the end of this one, you get a little bonus. A little special guest shows up at the end.
Oh, yeah?
Where the city sleeps and I'm the only one.
The flange.
Oh, wow.
Is that Eminem?
That is the Eminem version, because I hear him saying, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like 4 mashups.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Wow.
And then I found another Green Day mashup that I thought you would enjoy.
Uh-oh.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming.
This actually makes it better.
Does it?
I think so, yeah.
Wait, Green Day or Smash Mouth?
Both.
Okay. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid.
Oh, it's not podcast roll unless there's a Smash Mouth every 2 weeks.
It's really true.
That's true.
So then I started looking at these. I was like, okay, what's some of the other ones that Adam would really enjoy?
Yeah.
And I found this one. Survivor.
Right.
Okay, do you have any clue whatsoever?
Give me a genre. Is it mixed with rock or pop or what?
Current pop.
Oh, wow. No clue.
Current pop. Adult pop. Current adult pop.
No clue whatsoever.
None?
Nothing at all. Nothing's coming to my head.
There's a
Wow.
starting in my heart, reaching a fever, but just bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see crystal clear. Go ahead and scout me out, and I'll lay your ship
Adele versus Survivor.
That's pretty awesome.
I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that
Most of these, I'm saying, like if these came out as original songs, I would like them.
Yeah.
Like if she had that song released like that, I would be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars on your love remind me of us.
And then here's another one that I thought you would enjoy. Well, I know you don't like Mumford and Sons.
Oh, right.
But
Say I just walked
Oh.
away.
Oh, that works too, though.
I can't live a lie, running for my life. I will always want. I came in like a wrecking ball.
Nice.
I never hit so hard in love. All I wanted was to break your
Huh.
walls. All you ever did was break me. I put you high up in the sky, and now you're
so
not
Miley Cyrus
gonna
versus Mumford and
I
Sons.
like that a lot.
You like Mumford and Sons if there's a little Miley thrown in.
Yeah, a little pinch of Miley.
Or a lot.
I'm actually enjoying her new song too. That Malibu song.
Yeah.
I like.
Miley's grown up.
I like all Miley.
Miley's grown up.
Even when we had our crazy days, me and Miley were growing up together, finding ourselves, and now we're at a spot we can sing songs like Malibu.
I think the turn started with Wrecking Ball.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
I thought that was a great song. That is a great song.
I remember at MomoCon, at my craziest, I was just singing "We Can't Stop" over and over again.
We can't. Oh, by the way, go back and listen to the archives.
Yeah.
Is the first time we've heard that song.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Went up this week
Wow.
on the Patreon page.
Takes me back.
We're talking about Miley Cyrus.
That's awesome. It's all full circle.
5 years later, still talking about Miley Cyrus. So this next one I've got two clips of. It's the creepiest one,
Oh yeah.
but maybe my favorite that I found.
Really?
And I'm just going to let it play and see if you. Obviously, you'll know one of these, and I'm curious if you'll recognize the other.
Come along, but I don't know where you're taking me. I shouldn't go, but you're reaching, dragging, shaking me. Turn off the sun, pull the stars from the sky. The more I give to you, the more I die.
I don't know the first vocal. Is that
It's Trent Reznor.
Yeah,
it's
that's all
Nine
I
Inch
can.
Nails.
Right.
It's Taylor Swift versus Nine Inch Nails.
Which Nine Inch Nails song is that? I don't know what it is.
The drug song.
Well,
Well,
it's like the Merle Haggard drinking song.
yeah, that's true.
And I want you. And I want you.
Oh,
Perfect
okay,
drug.
Yeah.
Perfect drug, the perfect drug. You are the perfect.
It works.
And the video to this is creepy because it's a mashup of the two videos.
Oh, really?
Perfect drug, the perfect drug. Perfect drug, the perfect drug. You make me hard when I'm all soft inside.
So, yeah, I mean, just the visualization of the
Yeah.
super innocent Taylor Swift and the dark and disturbed Nine Inch Nails. That's disturbing. And then towards the end of the song, it goes to a whole new level.
Perfect drug, the perfect drug.
My ex-man brought his new girlfriend. She's like, oh my god.
Perfect
shake, shake. Yeah, I'm not watching.
Like, I kind of just want that song rather than any of the other two individual ones. And until you watch the video.
Yeah.
Because the video is hilarious.
Yeah. It's pretty creepy sounding.
Yeah, so just some of the mashups I found.
Nice.
Hey, check out the new Collection Connection.
Yeah, do that. It's the wrap-up of a 2-week-long vacation they took.
Yeah, Josh is back. Brooklyn's on there, and
Yeah.
they discuss the 2-week odyssey that they went on across the country.
Right.
And some of the stuff that they picked up along the way.
Yeah, that's a long vacation.
Yeah, which, by the way, they visited the big meteor crater site in New Mexico, and my wife actually brought back a piece of, what would you call it? Like part of the meteor site.
Really?
Like they sell it.
Really?
And then on the back it has what it is. You know, it's like 90% iron, 40%, but there's like 1% other.
Really?
And you know what the other is?
What's that? Qatari weaponry?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. It's part of the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
part Tesseract.
Yeah, see?
Or it could be like Superman 3 when Gus Gordon goes to make like a version of kryptonite on Earth.
Richard Pryor?
Richard Pryor,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
character. And they scan the kryptonite in space, and then it comes back and it's got everything, and there's 1% unknown.
Ooh.
So he just makes it tar.
It's like that.
Yeah, he looks at his cigarettes and he's like, what the hell? I'm going to smoke it. Hey, we teased this last week. A movie that I think we have a bit of love for.
Yeah. You more. I mean, I do like it, but it's one of your favorites. People ask your favorite horror movies. It's on there every time.
Yeah, it's always on there.
Yeah.
It's The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
I think because of the inclusion of the trombone, but that's just me.
It could be. And we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown came out in the 1970s. It was based on actual murders in the 1940s in Texarkana.
I have questions about Texarkana.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I was going to look it up, but I want to be told on air.
Oh, what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Like what Texarkana is?
Yeah, we'll talk about it soon.
It's
I'm
pretty
sure.
simple.
I'm curious.
Okay. It's like Bristol.
So it's a city.
It's a city, yeah.
In where?
That sits directly in, it's split
So it is the city split. Okay.
between Arkansas and Texas.
I didn't know Bristol was split. I didn't know
Uh-huh.
that. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like you go there, like the town hall actually had like half of the town hall is in Arkansas, half of it is in Texas. Yeah.
See, again, I could have Googled that, but I thought it'd be more fun to do it the old school way, like we did back in the 90s, and talk about it.
That's true. Oh, what? Nobody talks anymore.
Yeah.
So coming up, we're going to talk about the true story behind The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Next.
Do you like wrestling? What? Do you like wrestling? Do you like podcasts? What? I said, do you like podcasts?
Oh, yeah!
Then do we have the podcast for you?
Everybody's gonna fight.
No, it's entirely free. We have a discussion about wrestling topic bi-monthly. It's the It's a podcast dedicated entirely to pro wrestling, past, present, and future.
Oh, will you stop?
There are also reviews, previews, and interviews. So tune in at esopodcast.com, and also be sure to check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/ESOPro.
And you can't beat that. You dig that? 'Cause that's the bottom line. Have a nice day.
Howard W. Turner, 29. Emmylou Cook, 17. Bodies discovered in a wooded area on March 24th. Roy Allen, 17. Peggy Loomis, 15. Both found dead April 14th in Spring Lake Park. Floyd Reed, age 34. Murdered in his home on May 3rd. Mrs. Reed shot twice, but survived. This man's identity is unknown. He was believed to be between 30 and 40 years old. He wore a white hood and was known only as the Phantom Killer.
So that is the part of the trailer to the film, the 1976 horror classic, or cult classic probably, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
It's a horror cult classic. Could be both.
So in preparation for and what we're going to do is we're going to do the true story behind this.
Okay, yeah.
And then at the end, we'll talk about the differences in the film and the movies. But this was a movie in 1976, and then they remade it. Kind of like a meta sequel reboot. in 2014.
Yeah.
There was a new version.
Yeah. And you liked that one quite a bit, too.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I just wonder why, before we get too deep into that, I wonder why this one, I would say, unless you're hardcore, either pop culture buff or a history or a horror movie buff, odds are you don't know about this movie or franchise. But it's kind of right in the middle. It's after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's right before Halloween comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it should have been in that echelon of classic horror franchise movies. But for some reason, it gets lost in the mix, and I'm still to this day confused about why that is. I don't know why.
Yeah, because it really was kind of a prototype for the Jason Voorhees and the Michael Myers and even Freddy Krueger to some point.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's after Texas Chainsaw Massacre has that indie, low-budget feel to it. I mean, I'm a huge TCM fan myself, my favorite of all time, but I'm still confused why this one got lost in the mix. I don't know. I feel like it has that oomph to take it to the top, but it's not there.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Maybe lack of sequels? I don't know. They didn't think it was marketable enough to have a guy in a bag.
So this was the follow-up to The Legend of Boggy Creek, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy that Charles Pierce, who produced this, had produced The Legend of Boggy Creek. And then this was like The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I think the original title was The Town That Dreaded Sundown, The Legend of Boggy Creek Continues. I think was the original name. So it was kind of part of a franchise, but then it kind of took on its own life. And part of that, I think, is because it was loosely based on true stories. And we start, like we said, in Texarkana, which is a town that sits on the border of Texas and Arkansas. And in 1946, it was the site of the one of the most terrifying and unsolved serial killer murder cases in U.S. history. There was a lot to research on this, so I actually am reading bullet points.
That's good.
If it sounds like I'm reading, I am.
It's all good.
Dubbed by the media as the Phantom Killer or the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, this story has been the basis of two movies, the 1976 cult classic, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, as we mentioned, directed by Charles Pierce, and the 2014 sequel reboot, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. The Phantom Killer's murder spree spanned from February to May of 1946, with 5 murder victims and 3 wounded. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through these actual cases as they happened.
There we go.
The first victims were Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Lowry. The first attacks happened on February 22nd, 1946. 24-year-old Jimmy Hollis and his 19-year-old girlfriend Mary Jane were sitting in Hollis's car in a secluded area of Spring Lake Park. Now, in the movies, these do happen in Spring Lake Park. So that part is true. And I also heard that these murders were the basis for the folklore, urban legend, ghost story that we all hear when we're kids.
The classic boogeyman outside the car.
Yeah, the hook for the hand. And then, like, when the couple escapes, they find the maniac's gone, but there's a hook on the car.
Right.
And that actually didn't happen.
Yeah.
But
or did it?
Some say that's the basis for that,
makes sense,
that child ghost story. Around midnight, Mary Jean noticed a figure standing outside the car. Believing it to be the police, Jimmy began to roll down the window.
And pull up his pants.
That's when the couple noticed the stranger wearing faded old work clothes and a white hood over his head with eye holes cut out. Now, this is open for debate.
You think so?
Because in describing this initially, Mary Jean didn't mention the hood, and Jimmy did. No, she mentioned the hood. Jimmy didn't. But some say the killer had a flashlight and flashed the light in his eyes, so he really couldn't see the face. And then this takes like a whole racial tone, because after the attack, Mary Jean said that it was somewhat of mixed race. And at the time, the term that people apparently in the South and in Texas and Arkansas used were mulatto.
Wow.
And so that's what she kept saying. And she could tell also by the gruff voice that he had. Then it turns out that she really, when she retold her story later, she doesn't know what race the guy was. And then Jimmy always said it was a white guy.
Weird.
So, so the man tapped on the window with the pistol and ordered the couple out of the car. The couple exited the car. Jimmy was hit twice with the butt of the gun, and Mary Jean darted into the woods. The attacker chased Mary Jean and caught up. He began beating her, and then a car pulled into the park with the headlight shining near the attacker. The Phantom fled the scene. Jimmy suffered 2 severe skull fractures and had to spend several days in the hospital. Mary Jean was treated for scrapes and scratches and was released. Legend has it this was the first attack of the Phantom Killer, though neither one of his victims died.
Can you imagine being in the hospital for severe head problems back in the 40s.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That'd be terrible, right?
That would be
It's really bad in 2017. Imagine 70 years ago.
Right. So legend has it this was the first Phantom Killer, but some say maybe this was a separate attack than the other actual murders, because the other actual murders seem to be pretty fast, where the killer just shows up, shoots, and then leaves. At least in one of them. So, but the story got out, and people feared that maybe there was a maniac on the loose of some sort. But there wasn't a lot of, the town wasn't gripped by fear yet.
They weren't yet dreading the sundown.
No, they were not. The next victims were Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore. 1 month later, a visitor to Spring Lake Park notices a partially hidden Oldsmobile near a grove of trees.
That's always a bad sign if someone drives an Oldsmobile.
That's true.
It's like wearing a baseball cap. You just don't do it.
You just stay away from it. You pull your kids away as much as possible. Yeah. Upon investigating the car, the man discovered 2 bodies, Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore. Richard was slumped over the steering wheel, and Polly was placed in the back seat. Both victims had been shot execution style with a .32 caliber pistol. The police investigation revealed that Polly had been tied to a nearby tree and assaulted. Evidence showed Richard was shot outside the car, most likely while Polly was tied to the tree.
Now, to go back to the fiction, this has to be around the trombone scene right here. It's got to be.
I think in the movie this was a combination
the tree
of the
tie,
two,
yeah,
because she was tied to the tree in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The police believe Polly was tied to the tree, and the police theorized that the killer, overpowered him and rendered him unconscious somehow, and then grabbed her, tied her to the tree. And she was actually forced to watch him beat and kill Richard. And then he went to her and attacked her. Since the MO was nearly the same as the attack on Jimmy and Mary Jean, authorities believed it to be the same person. Newspapers began to run the story of a mask-wearing phantom killer on the loose in Texarkana. Now, here's when the town begins to become gripped in fear, and the Texas Rangers get involved. So the Texas Rangers come into town to aid in the manhunt for this phantom killer. Here's probably the most famous. Betty Jo Booker and Paul Martin.
Which Betty Booker sounds like a Marvel character, doesn't it?
That's true, especially Betty Jo Booker.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, during an extensive manhunt, the killer struck again. 15-year-old Betty Jo Booker was a gifted saxophone player who made extra money for the family by playing gigs with a local band at social events and VFW halls. Betty was 15, but her parents trusted the band leader to be the guardian while she was out on these gigs, so they didn't worry about her being out late with the band. Following a performance, Betty was supposed to go to a friend's house for a sleepover. The last time the band leader saw Betty, she was with bandmate, or I guess he wasn't a bandmate. Paul Martin was a former friend, well, not friend, but former
lover.
Maybe
schoolboy.
Schoolboy,
okay.
Yeah. They went to school together. She went to school with Paul Martin. And he, like the band leader, trusted him to take Betty to the friend's house. When Betty didn't show up at the slumber party, the police were contacted. A few hours later, Paul's car was found just outside the entrance to Spring Lake Park. Paul's body was found just over a mile away from his car. Betty's was found 2 miles away from Paul's body, both shot multiple times with a .32 pistol.
What's crazy, this is the real story, reading fact by fact, but at the same time, it can be plot points and just guidelines for a script for like a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
This
really does play. And that's probably why they made it into a movie.
Yeah. But in the actual like horror movies, they never use guns too much. It's always a little more visceral than that. It's always a blade of some sort, usually.
Right, and the Phantom Killer did use this .32 caliber pistol. So here's what the belief is. The belief is the killer dumped the bodies and drove the car to the park. Betty's saxophone was missing from the car. An alert went out to all the pawn shops in the area. Weeks later, the instrument was found in a boggy area of the park where it had been discarded by the killer. Now, this is the famous trombone scene from The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Like, when they made it into the movie and they wrote the screenplay around this, they changed the instrument from a saxophone to a trombone, and he actually used the trombone to murder the character. All the names were changed in the movie, so it's not Betty in the movie. I forget her name, but she's tied to the tree, and he actually kills her more like a movie serial killer would, with a knife tied to a trombone slide.
Which was awesome.
Very memorable, apparently for me.
Yeah.
By early May, Texarkana was gripped in fear. Now, not only were the Texas Rangers involved, but the FBI had a large presence in the town. Gun stores and pawn shops ran out of weapons. At night, groups of armed men roamed the area searching for the Phantom Killer, which I think is depicted in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Large groups of men roaming around at night
like
looking for
mob.
this guy. On the night of May 3rd, Virgil and Katie Starks were settling in for the night in their farmhouse about 12 miles outside of Texarkana. Katie goes upstairs, and she's upstairs lounging when she heard what sounded like gunshots and breaking glass from downstairs. This is the character played by Don Wells in the movie.
Right.
She races down the steps to discover her husband, Virgil, slumped over in his chair covered in blood. The Phantom Killer had shot Virgil, well, the suspected Phantom Killer, I should say, had shot Virgil while standing outside the couple's home through the plate glass window in the living room. Katie ran to the kitchen to call for help. While dialing on the phone, she was shot in the jaw.
Jeez.
She's actually shot twice.
Wow.
Katie was shot once through the cheek, and while she's on the phone, and then is shot through the jaw, and it obviously knocks out her teeth. And she still she's still able to escape.
Wow.
So Katie runs to the kitchen to call for help. While dialing on the phone, she's shot in the jaw. The killer was now outside the kitchen window when he took aim at Katie. He found the kitchen door locked and began to try to break in. Somehow, Katie remained conscious and got to the floor, crawled to the living room, out the door, and to a neighbor's house, which was 100 yards away. When the police arrived, they found Virgil dead and the house filled with muddy and bloody footprints of the killer. The house also had bloody handprints on the wall. So the police have got a lot of evidence.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently when the police showed up and they started investigating, I guess the killer had gone through the house looking for Katie. It's why there's so many footprints and handprints through the house. And they even, the dogs show up, the bloodhounds show up, and they track his scent out the door and through the area that she ran to go to the neighbor's house. But I guess once he realized that she had escaped, he made his way back to the car that he had parked about a mile from the house and left. And that's where the bloodhound sent him.
Now, she lived and saw the killer. Did she see there was a bag on his head? Did she say there was... What is her visual
apparently
representation?
at this point, this killer had a bag on his
I
head with eye holes cut out.
Okay.
So, again, this is depicted in the movie with Gilligan's Island's Dawn Wells as the Katie character, which they changed her name. So, that is the last known attack of the Phantom Killer.
Yeah.
And some historians say that last attack was a copycat.
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't near Spring Lake Park. Mm-hmm. The couple wasn't, they weren't in their car. They were in their home. And a lot of authorities believe, or a lot of theorists believe, that last attack was not related to the others. Mm-hmm. And again, some believe the first attack weren't related to the others.
Yeah.
That maybe the Phantom Killer was only the two attacks where people actually died.
Mm-hmm.
So here's some of the aftermath. This was the last time the Phantom Killer struck Texarkana. Though no one was arrested for the murders, there was one prime suspect.
Really? I didn't know that.
A Texas state trooper by the name of Max Tackett. The names in this story.
Yeah, they're like comic characters.
They are. Max Tackett noted that on each night of the attacks, except for Katie and Virgil Starks, a reported stolen car was made near the scenes of the attacks. Mm-hmm. In June of 1946, he staked out a stolen car, and it was the car that was stolen on the night of the Griffin Moore murders. So he tracked this car to a parking lot, and when he found the car, he just waited. He staked out the car to see if anyone showed up. A lady by the name of Peggy Swinney showed up and was arrested for car theft. She admitted to authorities that her husband, Yule Swinney, had stolen the car. Yule Swinney was known as a car thief in the area and a felon with a lengthy rap sheet. At the time of Peggy's arrest, he was in another town in Texas trying to, you guessed it, sell a stolen car.
Wow.
So Yule Swinney was found by authorities in Texas and arrested. During the arrest, Swinney asked the officer if he thought he would, quote, get the chair. The officer told Swinney they didn't give the death sentence for car theft. His response was, buddy, you got me for more than theft.
Wow.
Though Swinney never confessed to being the Phantom Killer, his wife Peggy told police that he was, in fact, the Phantom Killer.
Wow, I never knew that story.
And had evidence that he was. Here's some of the evidence. And see, the case against Yule Swinney is all circumstantial. Mm. Here's some of the evidence that the police had against him. When a lawyer told Peggy that her husband was being held for murder, she exclaimed, how did they find out?
Mm-hmm.
Peggy took officers near the spot where Paul Martin's car was found. She said that she had gone into the woods there, and the officers did find women's heel prints in the area that matched Peggy Swinney. Peggy's family and Yule's brother-in-law believed Yule to be the Phantom Killer. Police found a khaki work shirt in the suspect's room with a laundry mark of the word Stark, which was read under the blacklight. So they believed, so if Yule Sweeney wasn't the Phantom Killer, he might have at least been the killer of Virgil and Katie Stark, the last Phantom Killer case. In the front pocket of the work shirt, slag was found, which matched samples found in Virgil Stark's welding shop. So this shirt that Yule Sweeney had to have come from Virgil Stark's house. Yule Sweeney owned a .32 Colt automatic, but he didn't have it because he had previously sold it in a crap game. I guess probably he had lost it in a craps game. While being accused of murder, Sweeney remained silent instead of pleading his innocence. So he didn't say one way or the other. But I mean, he did tell the cop, you got me for more than theft. Peggy Sweeney confessed to her husband's actions, revealing very detailed information, including things officers already knew and other things that they didn't know. But here's the problem. Peggy recanted her story about her husband and said that he wasn't the Phantom Killer after, further investigation.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? So many questions.
Here's another problem. You remember all the handprints and footprints at the Stark house?
Yeah.
None of them matched Yule Sweeney.
Is it possible we could have a scream thing here? Multiple killers, maybe?
We could.
Uh-huh.
I think we could. He could have been working in concert with someone else. There was never a confession from Yule Sweeney, and since it was all circumstantial evidence, murder charges were never brought, though he was convicted on several counts of car theft and went to prison, which could explain why the Phantom Killer never attacked again.
Could they... So was he let go after some months or years of imprisonment?
Well, yeah, he didn't spend the rest of his life.
Right, yeah.
But he died in 1994.
Wow.
Yule Sweeney died.
Wow.
Possibly dying with all the facts of the actual Phantom Killer killings with him.
Wow. I never knew the Yule Sweeney story. Never knew.
And so and then we get to the movies. In 1976, film took creative license with the actual story, combining facts with folklore around the killings. Because they really did play up the unstoppable evil force that the Phantom Killer might be. He really was a Phantom Killer in the movies, as opposed to somebody like Yule Sweeney. As we mentioned, Don Wells from Gilligan's Island stars as one of the Phantom Killer's victims. In the scene that depicts the killing of Betty, as we mentioned, the instrument is switched from a saxophone to a trombone. Relatives of one of the killer's actual victims brought a defamatory lawsuit against the filmmakers of the original movie. Claiming it to be a mockery of their death. So there was a lawsuit filed by victims' families against the producers of the original Town That Dreaded
defamation of character or making,
The original Town That Dreaded Sundown is considered to be a prototype of slasher movies such as Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Totally.
And the 2014 meta sequel takes place around the annual Halloween showing of the 1976 film at the Texarkana Drive-In. And in this movie, the Phantom Killings actually happened. Mm-hmm. The Town That Dreaded Sundown movie actually happened. And every Halloween, they show this movie at a drive-in in Texarkana. And 65 years later, the murders kick up again in Texarkana.
That's pretty cool. It's a good storyline.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. The actual story behind the Town That Dreaded Sundown. I
would say they say things are so different, but honestly, reading those stories there and seeing the actual movie, it's not too far removed from it. Compared to like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where those are based on true events, but very, very, very vaguely, not so much at all.
Yeah, a lot of the license was taken. It's like the style and the time of the murders is accurate in the original movie.
Yeah.
How they're carried out isn't accurate. They took a license with that, and also they created characters just for the movie.
Right.
Like, there's a wacky, wacky 70s sheriff in a small southern town in this movie that is kind of a bumbling idiot that is not based on any of the actual law enforcement officers involved with the manhunt for the Phantom Killer. And then other licenses were taken where some of the folklore of the Phantom Killer is worked into the actual telling of the stories.
Right.
And they tell you, at the beginning of the movie that these are based on actual events, but the names have been changed to protect the victims.
It's based on true events. Names. It's a true statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably more faithfully accurate than a lot of stuff based on true stories.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, compared to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's nothing based on the Ed Gein killings. It's not even close to what happened.
Or that stupid Sully movie. Like a guy landed a plane on the river.
Yeah, like 50 Shades Darker. Nothing like that in real life. Benoit Balls don't feel like that.
Any thoughts on the movie or the
I like it. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I said, I'm so confused. It got lost in the mix. It should have been up there with all those classics, and should have had multiple sequels and things happen. I guess they try to keep it so realistic, with some air quotes there, that it was based on the true stories, where it just wouldn't have sequels to it because those killings did stop then. But I think it's a good idea to have that meta sequel in 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that was a cool.
Once
idea.
again, that got lost in the mix too.
It really did.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I saw that it was coming out, I was really excited.
And we talked about it like it came out last week on demand. What? You had no idea.
Yeah. Then I watched it. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I guess I watched it last year, probably.
Yeah.
When I finally saw it. Go watch the movie.
Do it.
And go study
find it somewhere.
Serial killers online.
When I first discovered horror movies, that was not my first, but I would say probably my first 10 horror movies I ever saw was that movie. And I used to just go and just binge. Every time my mom would take me back to the movie rental store, I'd go to the horror section, and that one stuck out to me. That cover of the just scary man with the bag over his head.
Mm-hmm.
I rented that, and I talk about it all the time. But I want to see a better cut of it because that VHS copy was so dark. And I don't mean tone wise; I do mean visually. Sometimes you're looking at 3/4 of the screen is pitch black, and there's a small white shape, and that's a person's body or face. You don't really know.
Yeah.
So I want to see a better copy and a better cut of it to watch it again. But it's good.
Yeah, I think the first horror movie I ever saw was The Boogeyman.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then The Town That Dreaded Sundown was shortly after
Really?
that.
Yeah.
And then Saturday the 14th.
Oh, wow.
Which was a horror parody.
Maybe that's why you like it so much. It was in between some bad choices.
That could be. Like in the first few horror movies I watched, this was a standout as a really good movie.
Right. Yeah.
And I do think that it came out in 76. When did the original Halloween come out? 78?
78, yeah, you're right.
So
in Texas was 74, so it's around in the middle.
Yeah, it's in the middle of them, but you could see some influence on Michael Myers for sure, especially the face,
right?
The way he moves.
I'm surprised in Friday the 13th Part 2 they used that almost exact same setup.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
that's
as far
true.
as the bag over his head and the one eye and all that.
That's true.
Yeah.
They did. I didn't think about that.
That's exactly it.
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's an interesting story.
Which I don't know how that setup works. And that, is it a rope tied around his neck to keep the bag on? It's a rope, right? I believe so.
And The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just seems like it'd be
But
hard
I don't
to...
know if the actual Phantom Killer... Like, we don't really know.
Yeah,
I mean... Because you got to think, how accurate can somebody that just got shot in the cheek and the jaw make of somebody trying to break into the kitchen?
Right, yeah. And a frenzy scramble to get out of there.
Right. So, did she get a good look, or did her brain put the pieces together for her? Because, honestly, like, we are terrible witnesses for things. Because when you experience anything, movie, just daily life, you don't remember everything.
Oh, no.
So your brain tries to fill in the gaps of the things that you don't remember. And sometimes that's not accurate. So this whole bag over the eyes might have never even really happened.
That's true.
Like, we don't know for a fact. I mean, we only have those first two witnesses. And that's where it comes from. And then the last survivor, to me, would probably not be a very accurate, witness for what was going on. Because she was trying to survive 2 gunshot wounds to the face.
Yeah. That could make your perception be a little off.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Kind of follow up to this, there was a Texas, was it Texas? Well, I forget what, Texas University. But a student committed suicide not long after the Phantom Killer murders, or the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. And in his suicide note, he confessed to being the Phantom Killer.
Really?
Though no authorities have ever been able to tie him anywhere close to Texarkana.
I think some people do that just for the name to be somewhere.
Right. There was a German prisoner of war that had, escaped in the Texas area around this time. So he was a suspect to be the Phantom Killer. There was a guy that was actually arrested because not long after the Betty Joe murder, he tried to pawn a saxophone. And he had like mud underneath his fingernails.
Oh, no.
So when
wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, he tried to pawn a saxophone right after Betty Joe was murdered. And he was arrested, but then later cleared because he was just trying to...
Hey, man, I'm trying to get rid of the
salsa. He was just trying to get rid of some saxophone that he had. But all right, final thoughts on the Town That Dreaded Sundown.
I like it.
Or anything that you might have.
No, that's about me. You covered everything. That's good research there.
Thank you.
Yeah, good resources.
If you want to find out more, visit your local public library.
Yeah. With a baseball cap. Drive up in your Oldsmobile with a baseball cap. You guys know about Texarkana?
You guys know about the Town That Dreaded Sundown?
I just wonder, I mean, it's a whole different episode we can do on serial killers, but I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, watch true crime documentaries, and I just wonder if it's a sign of the times or why we don't. Now, with me saying this sentence, I don't know how else to put it without the way I'm going to say it. I'm glad they don't happen anymore. I just don't know why they don't happen anymore. Serial killers in general. Is it because the world we live in is everyone's tuned in, everyone has a phone, everyone has a social media account? There are many conspiracy theories or just theories of why, and it's certain there were a few decades there in the mid-1900s, early 1900s, there were just massive amounts of killers and serial killers, but now we don't have any. And I wonder, I'd like to investigate that a little bit.
That is a good question to pose. It does seem like there's not as many, but...
I read a thing, and this was very intriguing, very weird, but it's a weird thing where some people in their actual scientific research behind this, it's whenever the car boom started, the automobiles happened, and they used leaded gasoline. There was actual lead poisoning in the air until they stopped. So there was like an actual graph showing killings and serial killings, and the graph went totally along with lead in the gasoline. Whenever we had unleaded gasoline, the killings and serial killings dropped. So some researchers say it's actually tied with the automobile boom with the leaded gasoline from the poisoning, and it drops off with unleaded. Isn't that odd?
That is odd.
Yeah, I've never heard that, but I saw an actual graph that was almost right in sync with each other. It was weird.
But I think, what is it I read? In the last 70 years, like across the last 70 years, at any given point in that 70 years, there are less than 5 serial killers in the United States.
Yeah, it's just so savage it stands out to us.
Right. It's very rare.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood of you coming in contact ever with a serial killer in your life, as soon as I say this, I'm going to get kidnapped. But the likelihood of that happening is like the combination of winning the lottery, getting struck by lightning, and dying in an airplane crash.
But just in the mid to late 70s, there were a lot of those. There was at one time they had 3.
It seems like it.
Well, in the U.S., they had 3 active serial killers at one time they're looking for.
Well, at any point, there's less than 5.
Can you imagine that?
So,
that's still, I mean, right now.
So there could be 3 right now.
But maybe they don't tell us about it. As far as I know, we have 0. But at one point in time, in the
they
news,
just arrested that one guy this
Really?
week.
I never knew about that guy.
The guy in Pennsylvania that confessed to his lawyer.
Really?
Of killing the 4 guys. And he just confessed to it.
Really?
And he's going to show, I think today, as we record this, he's taking authorities to where he buried the bodies.
Wow. But, I mean, 4, that's child's play.
Okay. Well, he only had 5.
Yeah, it's a terrible amount. It's a bad thing. But I mean, I guess it was more of a news story back then. That's when media picked up that stuff.
I think that's it. I think in the late 70s through the 80s, I think there's some fascinations that we went through as a culture. The satanic panic being one of those.
Right.
And serial killers being one of those.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that in that time span, you had John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
All in that time span.
Mm-hmm.
And John Wayne Gacy was pretty early in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And then you had Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy get caught.
And I guess they had
into the 80s.
Maybe characters tied to them, but can you imagine watching the news every night? And honestly, I was talking to my wife about that, like walking to your car in fear of the blank killer or the blank strangler, the whatever grabbing you.
Right.
I mean, that's just not a fear anymore we have, but it's just an odd thing.
Because they were played up, like the Hillside Strangler or the BTK Killer.
Yeah.
And
all that. I mean, Rodriguez, all those guys. I mean, they were big names, and I don't know. I'd like to see the research of why that was a big boom back then. Last one we had that made news really was, Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah.
I mean,
because he was
really?
cannibal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just an odd. That graph I saw with the gasoline and the lead really
that is interesting.
Made me think. I was like, wow, I've never once thought about that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the lead poisoning polluting the air.
Because you're absolutely right. Like overall, killings and murders are not as high as they used to be.
I mean, the 70s, you have that year of killings and those mass murders and
like the Summer of Sam.
Yeah. And that was all like right around the same late 80s or late 70s, early 80s whenever the lead was taken out. It's crazy. Crazy thought.
But wise up, America.
Yeah.
Right now.
Wise above hate.
There's 3 to 4 serial killers roaming among us somewhere.
Really?
In this country.
I never knew that. I thought right now we had 0.
No, we don't have 0.
Maybe it's because they're not cool like clowns and stuff like that. They don't make nipple belts.
They don't have a good gimmick.
Yeah, that's what it is. You need
serial
a gimmick.
killers, you need a better gimmick.
Right now we're in the black T-shirt and black boots days of our serial killers.
That's true.
You need a goon on some fake skates. You need a gobbledygooker.
Yeah, you do.
And that's terrifying. I got a serial killer in a big turkey costume.
That would terrify.
I would shit myself, then die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would, especially if you're a victim.
Not the way I want to go.
He might make you do that.
I guess either way it happens, regardless, but I want to do that after I die.
Well, to find out more about serial killers, visit your local public library.
Yeah, with an Oldsmobile.
Check us out online at adamandjp.com.
Of course, facebook.com/adamandjp. And check out patreon.com/podcastroll if you want to hear more about things like this. Specifically this week, we talk about Spider-Man Homecoming and our thoughts on that.
And coming up on the Tuesday show, it's like This Week in NWO special report.
It really is.
Yeah.
Straight from Texas itself, straight from the grassy knoll. We have official information of the certain assassination that happened there.
I didn't realize it was Texas Week on Podcast
Oh, it is. It really is.
2 stories from Texas.
Wow.
And 1 from San Diego.
Oh, yeah. It's all bigger there in Texas.
I'm Jay Patrick. That's Adam.
Eat your podcast roll.
This has been a production of the Adam and JP family of on-demand talk radio.
AdamandJP.com.
Right now.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network, your station for all things geek, classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESONetwork.com.